parliamentary committee, another could be select parliamentary committee. Select parliamentary discussion के discuss committees forward. This could be the best way to come. ठीक है? So this is the way we have discussed this question. Next question is about parliamentary committees. अच्छा, पहले मैं बस एक आइडिया बताती हूँ parliamentary committees का. See, जब हम लोग law making legislation पढ़ रहे थे, what we discussed that a bill can be passed in either of the house, and once the bill is being put forward in the house, वो अचानक से discussion के लिए नहीं जाता है. It is first of all being presented to a committee. बताया था. These committees are none other than parliamentary committees. These could be of two varieties. One could be joint committee, and joint parliamentary committee. Another could be select parliamentary committee. Select parliamentary committee क्या होती हैं? जिस हाउस में बिल प्रेजेंट हुआ, उस हाउस के मेंबर्स will create a select parliamentary committee. Joint parliamentary committee includes the members of both the two houses. Then parliamentary committees also are standing parliamentary committees or ad hoc parliamentary committees. Ad hoc parliamentary committees क्या होती हैं? जो किसी specific purpose के लिए बनाई जाती हैं. Standing parliamentary committees are those committees which are made for permanent purpose. For instance, parliamentary committees on public account, parliamentary committee on public undertaking. तो ये कुछ specific parliamentary committees होती हैं. अब committee system का idea क्या है? Let's see, parliament meet mostly in 3 sessions. ठीक है? अभी चल रहा है हमारा budget session. And then would be इसके पहले चल रहा था winter session, and then there is monsoon session. 3 ही session में parliament meet करता है, और इन 3 ही session में they have to come across all the bill passing and deliberation also. But the nitty-gritties of bill needs to be understood in a more deeper way, जिसमें लगेगा time. But parliament के पास उतना time नहीं है. So apart from the time when they are not meeting, what are these parliamentarians doing? ये MPs क्या करते हैं फिर? These MPs are part of one or the other parliamentary committee. और parliamentary committees को चाहे वो specific हो या वो ad hoc बनी हो, चाहे वो उस house की हो या joint हो, they are being given certain bills to oversee. तो parliamentary committee का काम है कि ये जो bill सामने आया है, जो शायद आगे वाले sessions में present होगा, I would examine this particular bill. हम सारे members बैठेंगे, we will examine the bill, we will look into the bill, nitty-gritties देखेंगे. If we feel something is issuable, we will write and create a report. और next time when the parliament is meeting और ये bill passing के लिए रखा जाएगा, तो मैंने क्या बताया था? बिल जब introduce होता है, उसके बाद वो parliamentary committee के पास जाता है. Parliamentary committee takes its own time to review. Then it presents a report. और फिर the bill is when it is being put for discussion, तो parliamentary committee की report is also put there. And then discussion happens. And then if you feel recommendations from parliamentary committee needs to be taken, they are included. And then it is being given to the president for consent. ठीक है? एक house से pass होके दूसरे house में जाएगा, and then it will be given to president. So this is the idea of parliamentary committee. तो बेसिकली आइडिया ऑफ पार्लियामेंट्री कमेटी का होता है अ डीपर अंडरस्टैंडिंग एंड डिस्कशन एंड एनालिसिस ऑफ अ बिल. ठीक है? तो डीपर डिस्कोर्स के लिए पार्लियामेंट्री कमेटी इज इंपॉर्टेंट, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है फॉर योर प्री ऑल्सो एंड फॉर मेंस. कई बार क्वेश्चन आते हैं और ये एक बहुत टिपिकल क्वेश्चन है, बहुत सिंपल क्वेश्चन है. व्हाट रोल डू पार्लियामेंट्री कमेटी प्ले? सिंपल. फंक्शन ऑफ पार्लियामेंट्री कमेटी, discuss the challenges faced by them. Simple. Role बता दो और challenges. So how would we start? We will start हमेशा अगर straightforward question है ना, तो what से शुरुआत किया करो. There is a straightforward question in polity. You can always start with what. जैसे हमने लिखा था writ jurisdiction. What is writ jurisdiction? What is parliamentary committee? What are parliamentary privileges? We are starting from what? So if you are clueless, you can always start. अगर कोई context नहीं है या theme भी नहीं बन रही है, तो start with what. So what is parliamentary committee? We will say. Simple. Once we have discussed this is parliamentary committee. Question कह रहा है, what is role of parliamentary committee? वो बता दो. And then we shall be discussing the challenges of parliamentary committee. right? And then we will write certain challenges लिख के छोड़ नहीं देना है. We will write certain way forward and end our answer. So let's try to find out what. Parliamentary committee means committee which is appointed or elected, either appointed or elected by the House or nominated by the Speaker, and which works under the direction of Speaker and presents its report to the House. मैंने कहा ना report देते हैं वो, or to the Speaker and Secretariat, which is provided by either Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. This is called Parliamentary Committee. अब सी what के बाद हमें डायरेक्टली रोल पर आना था, तो what और रोल के बीच में एक कनेक्शन कर लो. तो देखो इन्होंने कनेक्शन कैसे लिखा है. Parliamentary committee plays a crucial role in establishing or functioning a parliamentary system in India in the following ways. ऐसे करके they have started the role. And this is the best way to write an answer where you are writing an answer in continuity. Let's try to find out what is the role of parliamentary system. So first is oversight and scrutiny. Very simple है. PCs examine the proposed legislation जो उनके सामने आया है. Government policies, expenditure, public account committee है तो वो expenditure देखती है. जैसे जैसे जो कमेटी होंगी वो काम करेंगी. The point is वो deeper analysis करती है. They also examine whether rules framed by the government are in consonance with the act. So overall, they create an oversight and scrutiny. Parliamentary committee is a very, very important way to create a check of legislature on executive. ठीक है? Executive है Prime Minister and Council of Ministers. Bill तो यही लोग propose करते हैं. And parliamentary committee includes all MPs. MPs are part of legislature. So don't you think it will create a very, very good check of legislature over executive? This is a very important function of parliamentary committee. It brings expertise. See, parliament में diverse membership है, diverse expert लोग हैं, domain experts हैं, and I told you many a times parliamentary committee specific in nature होती है, जैसे public account committee, तो उसमें जो economics या बाकी domain expert के लोग होंगे, members of parliament, they would be included. So definitely it provides and brings expertise into the legislative process. Parliament deliberates on matters that are complex, therefore need technical experts. PCs with this helps this by engaging with domain experts, right? Next is forum for building consensus across political party. देखो parliamentary committee में include होते हैं MPs from all political parties. So a particular policy, if you really want a consensus to happen, you present it to parliamentary committee, तो सभी members बैठते हैं, discuss करते हैं, and they can definitely arrive at a common consensus beyond the stated party position. Next, crucial issue for nation building. PCs go into issues that are crucial for nation building, but don't hold as much political significance. Parliamentary committees ऐसे issues को भी देखते हैं जिनकी parliamentary political significance उतनी नहीं है, but they have a great significance for nation building. जैसे कि, for example, issues like defense shipyard. So those issues which are crucial for nation can be discussed. Next is greater time for discussion. I told you parliament मिलती ही बहुत कम है. देखो एक statistic है, in the last 10 years, parliament has met only for 67 days in a year. So because most of the time the session is adjourned or the session got prorogued and then they meet in the next session only, right? So the point is that क्या लिखा हुआ है देखो, on an average, which is a short of amount of time for MPs to be able to get an in-depth of the matter. उनको उतने समय में वो नहीं पढ़ पाएंगे. This is the reason parliamentary committees are created. They are meeting all throughout the year. PC में members जो उनकी date decide होती है वो तब आके discuss करते रहते हैं all throughout the year. And इन्हें तो what do you think MPs would be paid for? Session तो केवल तीन बार होता है. That too one session is of 4. Then another session is of 3 months, and then another session is of 2 months. ऐसा ही है. So they are just meeting for this time. इसमें भी they are not meeting continuously. उसमें भी कितने adjournments होते हैं. So continuously MP keeps on meeting through parliamentary committees, and thereby they creates a continuity also, and also greater time for discussion. So you see, question एक बार फिर से पढ़ेंगे. Question कह रहा था what are the roles. हमने सारा रोल पढ़ लिया. इसमें एक रोल रह जाता है जो कि आप लिखोगे, a very very important you can say mechanism for a legislative oversight on executive, right? Legislative check over executive. Question है what is the role and what is the challenge. So role हमने लिख दिया, अब हम लिखेंगे challenges. Role और challenges को भी बीच में लिंक करो. कहो despite of this tremendous role, parliamentary committee suffers from severe challenges which are as follows. ऐसे करके एक connection बनाएंगे. So now what are the challenges? First, decline in referrals. देखो parliamentary committee के बाद तो वो बिल आएंगे which are being referred to it by the government. When the government is not referring, तो PC will not take the bill. And recent instances have shown that government has not referred several bills to the PC, right? So क्या है देखो, as per data, as little as 25% of bills are introduced, 25% of bills introduced were referred to the committee in the 16th Lok Sabha. सिर्फ 25% ऑफ बिल, इसका मतलब 75% ऑफ बिल को डिस्कशन पीसी में हुआ ही नहीं है. Those bills were directly being placed in the house and directly put to vote, and many of them got passed also because of the majority which is experienced by the government. So this is something which is not a good sign. ठीक है? So this is the one challenge. Second is lower attendance of MPs. अब स्टैंडिंग कमेटी में मेंबर्स जो एक्सपेक्टेड है, दे आर नॉट कमिंग रेगुलरली, सो देयर इज लैक ऑफ अटेंडेंस. नेक्स्ट इज पॉलिटिकल इंटरफियरेंस. क्या लिखा है सी? इट इज ऑफन ऑब्जर्व दैट कॉम्पोजिशन ऑफ कमिटी ऑफन रिफ्लेक्ट्स द स्ट्रेंथ ऑफ वेरियस पॉलिटिकल पार्टी. देखो एमपीज तो वो होंगे, एमपीज आर व्हाट, दे आर इलेक्टेड पीपल. अब अगर एक पॉलिटिकल पार्टी मेजॉरिटी में आ गई है लोकसभा में, तो मोस्ट ऑफ द एमपीज इन द लोकसभा वुड बिलोंग टू दैट पार्टी ओनली. वही होगा ना, वही लोग सरकार बना रहे हैं, और मोस्ट ऑफ देम आर एमपीज आल्सो. सो द पॉइंट इज कि पार्लियामेंट्री कमेटी में भी तो उसी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी का ज्यादा रिप्रेजेंटेशन है, राइट? द पार्टी विच इज इन पावर. सो मेनी अ टाइम्स पीसीज एंड द व्यू एंड द फंक्शनिंग इज वेरी मच बायस. फिर फायदा क्या है पीसी का? वही लोगों ने वो बिल निकाला है, और द सेम पार्टी लाइन पीपल आर सिटिंग इन द पीसी ऑल्सो. Right? So there are instances that there could be great amount of political interference. Next is lack of technical support. Research support, yeah, you can say specialist advisors are not available. देखो लोकसभा का अपना खुद का पूरा सेक्रेटेरिएट स्टाफ है जो लोकसभा की प्रोसीडिंग्स को मदद करता है. But parliamentary committees are not getting that amount of research support, right? Next is non-binding nature. What all they say, I told you, no, उनके recommendations की report रखी जाती है पार्लियामेंट में, but it is not binding. So since it is not binding, it is somehow losing its significance. But अगर challenge लो, सबसे बड़ा challenge है ना, वो यही है कि वो refer ही नहीं हो रहा है. वो bills are not being referred so much to the parliamentary committees. How they have tried to end, हम end कैसे करेंगे? हम थोड़े से recommendations के साथ end करेंगे, because we have written role and challenges. How they have said, see, PCs act as mini parliament. Parliamentary committee को mini parliament कहा जाता है. However, there is a need to strengthen their functioning by balancing their compositions, right? ताकि उसमें political interference ना हो. By strengthening their recommendation mechanism. You can even say by empowering their secretariat, ताकि research support उनको अच्छा मिले. By providing them greater autonomy. You can even write that certain mechanism can even be included so that the referral power or the power to refer to them can even be provided. Means maximum referral होने चाहिए of the bills to the planning committee. So these kind of suggestions would only and only help parliamentary committee to enable and flourish well, right? So this is the way suggestions, आप कुछ भी जो दिमाग, देखो suggestions क्या होते हैं ना, challenges को opposite कर दो, वही way forward है. So what all challenges you have written, उसी का opposite को आप एक line में solutions में लिख देंगे. So like this you would be ending your answer. कोई issue समझ में आ रहा है? हाँ, ये. That's what I'm saying. So for online student, I'm repeating. One of our student is saying that what should be the mechanism to enable that referral would increase. So I'm saying we can always say that some kind of compulsory referral mechanism can be included, wherein it could be said that out of the total bills, at least इतना % of bills needs to be referred to PC. ये इस तरह का आप कुछ जरूर कर सकते हो, right? So until and unless you make it mandatory, keeping into mind that for last few times we are having a majority government at Lok Sabha, there could be an issue like this. ठीक है? So you can definitely go forward with something like this कि आप उनको mandatory referral के लिए total amount या कुछ percentage of bills बोल दो कि इतने % तो आपको करने ही करने पड़ेंगे referral. Or you can even find out or streamline critical areas कि इन areas का bill अगर है तो referral में देना पड़ेगा. Something like this you can definitely devise, right? देखो suggestions में आप कोई भी suggestion लिख सकते हो, keeping into mind of course कि वो उसी idea को pertain करे. And you should be free. मतलब make your mind free to come forward for ideas. Don't restrict. जैसे अभी आपने बोला ना, so don't restrict yourself. आपको जो लगता है कि reasonable, rational है, वो ही आपके दिमाग में आएगा. Reason because now you know a lot about parliamentary committee. This is the reason you came up with a nice solution. ठीक है? So don't be very much apprehensive कि जो मैं सोच रहा हूँ या सोच रही हूँ ये सही है कि नहीं. Definitely सही होगा if you are reading it fine, if you have understood it fine. So by that time mains में तो आप लोगों ने कई बार ये चीजें पढ़ ली होंगी. तो you will never go wrong. ठीक है? तो जो आप लोगों को लगता है suggestion, you can write about it. And suggestion तो suggestion होते हैं. वो तो सबके अलग अलग हो सकते हैं. So you can always write. एक last question और करते हैं, then we will go for a break. देखो question क्या है? Explain the rationale. Rationale means reason behind incorporating special provisions for Northeast states under Article 371 of our Constitution. Simple सा एक question, बहुत straightforward question है, that there is an Article 371 and in Article 371 certain special provisions are provided to Northeast states. What is the reason for that? Simple. So before I move, we will just understand few things. देखो, Northeast states in India are being provided some kind of constitutional safeguards and privileges in our constitution. These could be understood in terms of Article 371, wherein few of the Northeast states are provided special status. Then you have an entire idea of 5th schedule, which includes the scheduled area, including few of our Northeast states also. Total इसमें 10 states आते हैं. And then there are 6th schedule, which includes tribal areas of 4 states of Assam, Mizoram, Meghalaya, and Tripura. ठीक है? So the point is that Northeast states are being given a very, very important position in our constitution. और 3 different ways से आप इनको देख सकते हो when they have been provided some special status, right? So here we are not discussing 5th and 6th schedule. We are only and only discussing 371, जिसमें कुछ Northeast states हैं and there are other states also. So now the question says कि why Northeast states are being included? ये question पता है क्यों बना है? क्योंकि Northeast states तो 5th और 6th schedule में भी हैं. तो 371 में क्यों डाला? This is the rationale, right? So the point is कि if these kind of questions are coming, हम कैसे शुरू करेंगे? Simple, हम what से शुरू कर देंगे. जो plain question है उनको what से शुरू कर दो. What do you mean by Article 371? So 371 grants temporary, transition or special provision to some of the states. This is ranging from Article 37A to 37J. And this article gives special provision for the states of Maharashtra, Gujarat, Nagaland, Assam, Manipur, Andhra Pradesh, Sikkim, Mizoram, Arunachal Pradesh, Goa, and Karnataka. So there are how many states? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 states are there in Article 371. सबसे पहले तो for pre-purpose आप इन states को याद कर लोगे. And in pre 371A, 371B ऐसे करके भी आता है. So there is, अब next time आज हमारे जो हमने points mains में किए हैं, अब वो points you would go and revise for your pre from your Bayers Act, जो भी किताब आप पढ़ रहे हो, ठीक है? तो 371 खोलोगे और 371 का पूरा आइडिया लोगे. What are different articles associated with these states? ठीक है? So this is the idea. अब हम straight away question पे आएंगे that what is the rationale? So what is the rationale? See, rationale समझाते ही in this question we would be writing the article. For instance, if I am talking about safeguarding of their indigenous culture, तो यहीं पर हम नागालैंड से related article लिख देंगे. So that within the analysis your article knowledge is also being explicited. So first reason क्या है? Preserving tribal culture and identity. These northeast states have certain specific culture and identity and we need to preserve them. So Article 371 empowers certain states to protect their tribal custom, and therefore we have this Article 37A. Now 37A is dealing with Nagaland, and 37A says that Constitution protects the Naga customary law and ownership of land resources, granting Nagas self-determination over their traditional practices. So 37A gives special status to Nagaland in order to protect its own traditional and indigenous practices, right? So this safeguards their cultural identity and prevent cultural homogenization. In India, what is the reason हमने इनको special privilege दिया है? Reason यही है कि we don't want cultural homogenization. We want the heterogeneity to remain intact. This is the reason 371A में Nagaland is given a special status. Second reason is protecting from external influences. So Article 371 grants certain states जैसे Nagaland और Mizoram to regulate the inflow of outsiders. अगर लग रहा है कि outsiders आ रहे हैं तो आप regulate कर सकते हैं. This aims to protect the indigenous population from demographic shift and dispossessions of their land, right? So Mizoram and Nagaland को ये right है that it can regulate the outsiders flow. Next is maintaining ecological balance. See, this area is manifesting rich biodiversity, and also it is a very fragile area, susceptible to earthquakes, volcanoes. This is the reason we really want to conserve their rich biodiversity. Recognizing this, Article 371 empowers states like Arunachal Pradesh. See, the article is Article 371H. तो A है नागालैंड के लिए, H है अरुणाचल प्रदेश के लिए. To enact their own laws for the protection of wildlife and forest. ठीक है? So this is the reason I said कि अगर हमको pre के लिए हमने याद किया है तो वो knowledge mains में काम आएगी. But overall you prepare for all the beginners I am saying, prepare yourself first for mains. If you are preparing for mains, more than half of the thing for pre is done. प्री में यही क्वेश्चन आप आइसोलेशन में पढ़ते हो जिसमें आप सिर्फ रट्टा मारते हो कि 371A is for Nagaland, H is for Arunachal Pradesh. You don't look into the idea why it is introduced. A is introduced because of certain other reason. 37H, that is protection of wildlife, is for some other reason. And if you are studying mains, you would be able to understand the rationale also and article also. ठीक है, तो हमें पढ़ाई मेंस के पर्पस से करनी है. मेन से हम प्री का मैटर डिराइव कर सकते हैं, प्री से हम मेन का मैटर नहीं डिराइव कर पाएंगे. ठीक है, सो दिस इज द आइडिया. नेक्स्ट इज एड्रेसिंग हिस्टोरिकल ग्रीवेंसेस. सी, दिस इज एन एरिया विच वाज वेरी वेरी मच नेग्लेक्टेड. तो हमें अभी हिस्टोरिकल जो ग्रीवेंसेस हैं उनको रिड्रेस करना है. दिस इज द रीजन वी हैव प्रोवाइडेड देम स्पेशल स्टेटस. हिस्ट्री ऑफ नॉर्थ ईस्ट इज मार्क्ड बाय स्ट्रगल्स. and neglect also. Not only struggle during colonial period, neglect in the post-colonial period to address for these historical grievances. Article 371 provides for special arrangements like formation of autonomous councils. हमने कहा आप अपनी autonomous councils continue रखो. We don't want to interfere into those councils. Article 3716C जैसे मणिपुर के लिए है. And reservation of the seats in legislature जैसे 371F for Sikkim. So see pre के लिए आपको सारी information मिल गई. And for mains also you have created a base, right? So these measures empowers the local community to participate in the political process. Thereby we are actually addressing the historic grievances. So these are few of the reasons why Northeast states technically are being included within Article 371. और आप देख रहे हो उसमें जितने हमने reasons लिखे हैं सिर्फ और सिर्फ regarding Northeast है because question is regarding Northeast. Now, since जरूरी नहीं है कि with every topic you can write challenges, but with every topic you can of course write context or you can write themes. तो इसकी themes क्या होगी? Northeast को और अच्छा assimilate करना. To assimilate it, to ensure democracy, to ensure development, and to make Northeast feel as an integral part of India, right? So यही लिखा है. These provisions aim to strike a balance between national unity and respecting historical, cultural and tribal diversity of Northeast. देखो अगर आप किसी एक particular state को recognize नहीं करते हो, being a very special state, and when you know there are secessionist tendencies going on, the secessionist tendencies would increase. And this would jeopardize your unity. तो 371 का जो थीम है वो क्या है? यूनिटी प्लस मेंटेनिंग कल्चरल डाइवर्सिटी. एक तरफ आपको कल्चरल डाइवर्सिटी मेंटेन करनी है, बट एट द सेम टाइम यू वांट टू मेंटेन द नेशनल यूनिटी. So this you can only assure when you are providing some special status or some special benefit to the state. तो वो स्टेट को लगेगा कि the central is doing something for me. तो secessionist tendency जाएंगे, this means national unity will be maintained. And within that area, the indigenous culture and tradition and political system would also remain. Understanding the rationale behind this provision is vital for, देखो themes इस question में क्या है, यही मैं कह रही हूँ, बस हमें idea लिखना है कि in conclusion में what themes we would write. We will talk about national unity. We will talk about respecting their culture, tribal diversity. We will talk about inclusive governance. This is the way to include them. मैंने कहा ना accommodate करना है हमें उनको. So inclusive government, fostering ecological and cultural sustainability and harmonious future for Northeast within Indian Union. You need to make sure कि Northeast feels to be an integral part. ये सब कैसे होगा? जब आप कुछ उनको special status दोगे. राइट सो और इन्हीं में से एक स्पेशल स्टेटस जो 370 के अंदर हमने कश्मीर को दे रखा था. सो स्पेशल स्टेटस की दो आर्टिकल्स थे, पहले 370 था और फिर 371 है. 370 इज नाउ एब्रोगेटेड, सो नाउ वी जस्ट हैव 371, राइट? सो वी हैव मेड एन एनालिसिस ऑफ दीज क्वेश्चंस. वी विल मीट आफ्टर अ 5 minutes break for rest of the 6 questions. Okay. So next question, that is question number 14, again is a very, very simple question. Straight away question is asking, how does preamble to the Indian Constitution reflect the core values and principles of the nation? How preamble reflect the core values? That's it. This means अचानक दिमाग में क्या आया? That we will write what is preamble. मैं लिखूंगा what is preamble. Then I will write what are the core values of preamble. And then I will say how it is very much similar or how it is reflecting the principles of nation. That's it. ठीक है? एक लाइन में I will discuss what is preamble. Then I will say that preamble carries core values. These are the core values, and then you say these core values are also the core values and principles of the nation, and thus preamble is reflecting the principles of nation in the following way. Simple है, ऐसे शुरुआत करेंगे. सिंपल क्वेश्चंस की शुरुआत एज आई सेड व्हाट से होती है. व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय प्रीएम्बल? सो वी विल से प्रीएम्बल इज अ ब्रीफ इंट्रोडक्शन. और यहीं पर आप कंप्लीटली राइट हेयर ओनली इफ यू विश, यहाँ पर या आफ्टर दैट इन द इंट्रोडक्शन ओनली डिस्कस व्हाट इज प्रीएम्बल एंड देन डू टॉक अबाउट द कोर वैल्यूज ऑफ प्रीएम्बल. उसके बाद थर्ड आइडिया होगा हाउ इट इज लिंक्ड विद द आइडियाज ऑफ आवर नेशन. So it's a brief introduction. It outlines fundamental values and principles of India. It lays down key political, moral and philosophical guidelines also. जो आपको लगे preamble, what is preamble, वो आप लिख दो. What is preamble? Next, अगर आपको ये heading नहीं डालनी है तो it's absolutely fine. You can take up on ताकि आपका word limit बच जाए. You can come up with a second para saying, preamble of India clearly states or preamble of India clearly contains key goals like sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, and republic. This means country is self-governed, believes in social economic equality, does not favor any religion. इन्हीं सारे ideas को हमने elaborate किया है. It is self-governed, it is driven with socio-economic equality, it is not guided by any particular religion, it has an elected head rather than a monarch, right? It also aims to provide people with justice, which is both political, economic as well as social. हमने क्लास में किया था. Liberty, equality and fraternity. This means कि introduction में ही आपने what is preamble भी लिख दिया and what are the core values of preamble भी लिख दिया, right? Next, now you have to create a kind of connection between core values which are given in preamble to the core values which are there in India. So we would say इस तरह से लिख सकते हो. The values which preamble preaches are very much similar to the values which are upheld by India as a nation. This could be understood in the following way. ठीक है? First point, sovereign. Now every time try to relate कि ये idea preamble में भी है और this idea is indispensable part of India as a nation also. So you would say India being sovereign is independent, not ruled by any other country, and it is the preamble which actually establishes India to be a sovereign country, free from any foreign control, free to take any kind of both internal as well as external decision. Second, you would say socialist, so you would say India since independence was guided by this idea of socialism, and preamble also includes this important core value. However, it was only after 42nd amendment that the word socialist was being introduced in the preamble. ठीक है? ऐसे करके we would be writing. Next we will write, once we have written socialism, we would write about secular. Same thing हम लिखेंगे. Idea of secular has always been the core of the life of India. However, it was in preamble that the idea regarding secularism was manifested through this idea called freedom of faith. However, it was only again after 42nd amendment that the word secular was typically being inserted into our preamble, right? तो बताना, हर बार आपको ये बताना है कि इंडिया में कैसे ये वैल्यूज हैं and how in preamble also these values are taken up. Next देखो इसमें और क्या लिखा है, and It was in the SR Bommai case. ये बहुत फेमस एक कोर्ट केस है, प्री के ऊपर ये क्वेश्चन बनता है. SR Bommai case has actually said that secularism is not only the core value, it is also the basic structure of our constitution. तो as I told you someday कि basic structure एक judicial innovation है. ये एक list है of principles. ये कहीं लिखी नहीं है constitution में. Different court cases has come up with different ideas regarding basic structure. One of the court cases is the SR Bommai case, within which this idea that secularism is a key part of constitution came up. Next, you will say about democratic. So you will say India always have been preaching a democratic culture, be it at political, social or economic level, and preamble also reflects the same feeling. Then you would say in the historic Keshav Nand Bharti case, democracy was considered to be an essential part or the basic structure. Next, you will talk about republic. तो आप कहोगे republic, that is the elected head, has been very important part of Indian constitution, and this is the reason why we have also included it. नेक्स्ट यू वुड से दैट दिस वाज इवन डिस्कस्ड इन द शंकरी प्रसाद केस. अभी घर जाके क्या करना है, ये जितने कोर्ट केसेस लिखे हैं इनको एक बार हम रीड करेंगे एंड हम इन सब कोर्ट केसेस, मैं आपको सिर्फ प्री के लिए एग्जैक्ट बता रही हूँ जिससे आपकी विनेबिलिटी रहेगी. यू वुड जस्ट राइट वन इंपॉर्टेंट थीम रिगार्डिंग टू इट. जैसे एसआर बोमई में डैश करके कहीं लिख दो सेक्युलरिज्म, केशवनंद भारती केस में डैश करके लिख लो बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर डेमोक्रेसी, शंकरी प्रसाद केस में डैश करके लिख लो एफआर amendability of FR, wherein in both these two cases, चाहे शंकरी प्रसाद था चाहे सज्जन सिंह केस था, in both these two cases it was being said that FRs can be amended by the parliament. ठीक है, so कहीं डैश करके आप ये पॉइंट लिख लो. My point is कि ऐसे ही आपके पास एक लिस्ट बन जाएगी of court cases and the associated issue with this court case, ताकि दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एक्सरसाइज फॉर योर प्री. ये चीजें आप लोग बाद में करते हो. आई सजेस्ट स्टूडेंट की जैसे जैसे आप पढ़ते जा रहे हो ना, एक लूज शीट्स बनाओ जिसमें आपने एक कम से कम 10-15 पेजेस की लूज शीट बनाई where you have written just famous court cases regarding polity and then start writing court cases. जैसे जैसे पढ़ते हुए जो कोर्ट केसेस आ रहे हैं वो कोट करते रहो. यू वुड फाइंड अ वेरी रिच लेवल ऑफ कोर्ट केसेस इन योर हैंड which could be asked for your pre and you can use it for your mains also. ठीक है, जैसे कल हमने IRC हिलो केस पढ़ा, तो इस तरह से और भी जितने केसेस आ रहे हैं. आज हमने मनेका गांधी केस पढ़ा, नवजोत जौहर केस पढ़ा, जिसमें होमोसेक्सुअलिटी वाज बीन डिक्लेयर्ड अनकॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल. सो द पॉइंट इज दैट सॉरी नॉट अ क्रिमिनल ऑफेंस. सो द पॉइंट इज ऐसे आप करके कोर्ट केसेस की लिस्ट बनाएंगे. राइट, चलो नाउ नेक्स्ट व्हाट दे हैव सेड. देखो प्रियम्बल में दो आइडियाज थे जब हम पढ़ रहे थे. हमने देखा था प्रियम्बल में पहले तो बोला वी द पीपल ऑफ इंडिया डिक्लेयर इटसेल्फ, और ये 5 प्रिंसिपल्स है. और फिर अनदर दे हैव फ्यू मोर आइडियाज जैसे जस्टिस, लिबर्टी, इक्वालिटी, उनको भी लिखना है. सो व्हाट वी हैव रिटन, the core values of the country are very much similar to those reflected in the preamble. For instance, the value of justice, which in preamble provides in the sphere of social, economic and political form. Now comes a very important case, Maneka Gandhi case. Maneka Gandhi case 1978, मैंने आपको अभी अभी बताया Maneka Gandhi case. इसमें due process of law has been included. Maneka Gandhi case become very important, emphasizing fairness in legal procedure. Intention is very important. Next is liberty. देखो liberty में नवतेज सिंह जौहर केस आ गया है regarding decriminalization of homosexuality. So this is a very important case and liberty has already been presented in our constitution in preamble. Equality में इंदिरा शॉनी केस. इंदिरा शॉनी केस क्या था, ये रिजर्वेशन पॉलिसीज के ऊपर है. ठीक है, ये मैच द फॉलोइंग में भी आते हैं कोर्ट केसेस. इंदिरा शॉनी केस इज अ वेरी वेरी हिस्टोरिक केस. इस केस में कोर्ट ने क्लियरली कह दिया that there would be an idea regarding the creamy layer category, और इसलिए कहीं डैश करके आप लिख लोगे रिजर्वेशन पॉलिसी से डील करता है इंदिरा शॉनी केस. राइट, नेक्स्ट इज फ्रिटर्निटी. सो एज फार एज फ्रिटर्निटी इज कंसर्न, सी देयर इज अ नंदनी सुंदर वर्सेस स्टेट ऑफ छत्तीसगढ़ केस which underline the importance of fraternity for national unity. So ये question was a very very nice question. कितने beautifully इन्होंने preamble के core values को court cases के साथ, and they have then shows that how they are part and parcel of the political system of India. Right? In the end you can just write कोई भी theme उठा लो preamble की तो बहुत सारी theme है. Preamble is a guiding force. Preamble is a agency for interpretation. And likewise, you can say that Supreme Court has interpreted these principles. And preamble, the existence of preamble showcases the essence of Indian Constitution. And it also, in fact, it summarizes the essence of Indian Constitution and thus holds immense importance. ठीक है? एक और क्वेश्चन कई बार आता है, वेदर प्रियम्बल इज पार्ट ऑफ आवर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ नॉट. तो इसके ऊपर अगर एक क्वेश्चन आएगा तो वी शैल बी डीलिंग, जिसमें अगेन देयर आर फ्यू कोर्ट केसेस, जैसे चंपकन दुरई राजन केस है, बेरुबारी केस है, कई सारे केसेस हैं, LIC है, केशवनंद भारती है. सो इफ अ क्वेश्चन कम्स वी विल बी डिस्कसिंग दैट आल्सो. चलो, नाउ नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज क्रिटिकल रोल ऑफ राइट्स इन द फंक्शनिंग ऑफ इंडियन डेमोक्रेसी. बड़ा सिंपल क्वेश्चन है. Role of rights. So role of rights in functioning of Indian democracy. यानी rights को हमें democracy से link कर देना है. That's it. Believe me, ये हर student के लिए different interpretation होगा. Because rights or democracy का idea is very wide. So it's perfectly fine if you are deviating somehow from these things. but most of these things should be included in your answer. That should be the point. So अभी इन questions को करने के लिए क्या है, simple what से शुरुआत करेंगे and then seriously हम directly आ जाएंगे role of rights in ensuring democracy. So what are rights? मैंने क्लास में भी बताया था, rights are claims or entitlement. Rights are claims of entitlement of an individual in a society. And these are claims and entitlement in a society enforced by the state. बस ये तीन चीजें हमें याद करनी है. They are entitlement of individual in a society enforced by a state. ठीक है? Once you have written this, you would say, right plays a very important role in establishment of a successful democracy. And this could be analyzed in the following way. देखो, अब इन्होंने seriously straightforward point में आ गए. Now, how right can ensure democracy? देखो, normally fundamental rights का जो idea है इंडिया में, this is dealing with political democracy. And ये question pre में कई बार आता है. DPSP is dealing with social and economic democracy. क्लास में मैं हमेशा बताती हूँ कि कोई भी एक कॉन्सेप्ट है उसके तीन रेमिफिकेशंस हो सकते हैं, पॉलिटिकल, सोशल एंड इकोनॉमिक. डेमोक्रेसी के भी तीन रेमिफिकेशन हैं. उसमें से पॉलिटिकल डेमोक्रेसी इज बीन अपहेल्डेड बाय द एग्जिस्टेंस ऑफ एफआरस एंड सोशल एंड इकोनॉमिक डेमोक्रेसी कुड बी एंश्योर्ड बाय डीपीएसपी. क्वेश्चन हमारे राइट्स को लेके है. तो जब आप राइट्स लिख रहे हो और डेमोक्रेसी लिख रहे हो तो डेमोक्रेसी के तीन भाग बना दो, पॉलिटिकल, इकोनॉमिक एंड सोशल. देन ट्राई टू फिगर आउट कि इसमें से कौन सी ऐसी चीज है which I should write for the first, because that is going to be most important. And then the thing will click into your mind कि भाई FRs तो political democracy का thing है. So first thing we would write how fundamental right helps in ensuring political democracy. उसके बाद अगर हमें लगता है कुछ points of social democracy, we will definitely write. But पहले हम लिखेंगे Indian democracy जो है ना, वो एक पॉलिटिकल कॉन्सेप्ट है. इसका मतलब मोस्ट ऑफ द पॉइंट हैज टू बी रिलेटेड टू द पॉलिटिकल स्फीयर. ठीक है? तो देखो, मोस्ट ऑफ द पॉइंट आर रिलेटेड टू पॉलिटिकल स्फीयर. फर्स्ट, एंश्योर पॉलिटिकल पार्टिसिपेशन. सो द राइट्स, अभी यहाँ फंडामेंटल राइट्स नहीं बोले, वो तो मैंने आपको अंडरस्टैंडिंग के लिए बोला. यहाँ उन्होंने सिर्फ राइट्स बोला. देखो, राइट्स हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में दो कैटेगरीज के हैं. कल शायद मैंने आप लोगों को बताया था कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल राइट्स होते हैं, बताया था ना कल ही कि दो कैटेगरीज हैं, बताई थी. चलो, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल राइट्स होते हैं. राइट्स जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में लिखे हैं उनको कहते हैं कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल राइट्स. These constitutional rights are of two kinds. One are fundamental rights, another are legal rights. And there is a difference between fundamental rights and legal rights. तो ये तीनों का कनेक्शन पहले तो समझ में आ गया है. ठीक है? Fundamental rights could also be constitutional, legal rights can also be constitutional. But there is a difference between FRs and legal rights. What are those? Simple differences. FRs are found in Part 3 of our Constitution. Legal rights are found outside Part 3 of our Constitution. Fundamental right could be enforced by Article 32 only. Legal right can be enforced through Article 2 to 6. ठीक है? फंडामेंटल राइट्स के ऊपर आप रिट जुरिस्डिक्शन कर सकते हो विथ सुप्रीम कोर्ट ओनली. यहां पर अंडर हाई कोर्ट यू कैन गो फॉर सम अमाउंट ऑफ जुरिस्डिक्शन. राइट? सो दीज आर फ्यू ऑफ द डिफरेंस बिटवीन फंडामेंटल राइट एंड लीगल राइट. फंडामेंटल राइट आर कंसिडर्ड फंडामेंटल, लीगल राइट्स आर नॉट दैट कंसिडर्ड फंडामेंटल. जो भी आप डिफरेंसेस बनाना चाहो. वन ऑफ द फंडामेंटल राइट जैसे कि आर्टिकल 19(1)(f) which dealt with right to property. ठीक है? This was earlier a fundamental right. Later on with 44th amendment it became a legal right under Article 300 Clause A. Right? So question में fundamental right नहीं पूछी है, question में right पूछा है. Right मतलब both fundamental right as well as legal right. और दूसरी चीज है, हमें मोस्ट ऑफ द क्वेश्चंस पॉलिटिकल स्फीयर में रख रहे हैं. अब फंडामेंटल राइट्स में तो ज्यादा पॉलिटिकल डेमोक्रेसी के आपको आइडियाज नहीं दिखेंगे. राइट? बट देयर आर फ्यू आइडियाज जो लीगल राइट के पार्ट है विच आर नॉट पार्ट ऑफ एफआरस. One such right is right to vote, which is not a fundamental right, but it's a constitutional right. वो legal right है आपका. It has been clearly written in our constitution, Article 326 के अंदर, ठीक है ना? So how rights can ensure good functioning of democracy? पहला है, it ensures political participation. For instance, right to vote. And right to vote is also a right. And this is under Article 326. इसके ऊपर question बनता है कि 326 में specifically universal adult franchise नहीं लिखा है. It's not written in our constitution. एक word लिखा है adult suffrage. That's it. ठीक है ना? तो ये question लिख के आता है that universal adult franchise word is written in our constitution. You would say no, it's not written. लेकिन 326 के अंदर एक idea है of right to vote. That every person, irrespective of any of the social category above the age of 18, have a right to vote. So rights are important for democracy because they ensures political participation, for example, through right to vote and also through right to contest. Second, protection of minorities. अब देखो एक एक पॉइंट में जरूरी नहीं है सब जगह लीगल राइट लिखो, जहां आपको एफआर्स का आइडिया दिख रहा है वो भी लिखोगे क्योंकि ये राइट्स है ओवरऑल. So when you're talking about protection of minority, you will talk about right to freedom of religion, 25 to 28. You will even talk about 29 and 30, cultural and educational rights. ठीक है? So this is the idea. Checks on the government power. देखो basically rights का idea क्या है? मैंने क्लास में तब भी बताया था. Most important thing regarding right is rights not only helps in development of individual, it also creates a restriction on arbitrariness of legislature. So another very important point how rights can ensure democracy is that it creates a check on the government functioning. You can write many ideas. That's what I'm saying, no? For instance, freedom of speech and expression. This acts as a check on government's ability to suppress dissent. है ना? अगर हम कुछ डिफरेंट बोल रहे हैं तो गवर्नमेंट कैन नॉट शट आवरसेल्फ. रीजन बिकॉज वी हैव अ फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच एंड एक्सप्रेशन. नेक्स्ट इज प्रिजर्वेशन ऑफ ह्यूमन डिग्निटी. प्रिजर्वेशन ऑफ ह्यूमन डिग्निटी आर्टिकल 21. दिस इज ऑल्सो इंश्योरिंग डेमोक्रेसी. डेमोक्रेसी का मतलब है प्रिजर्विंग पीपल. People as a dignified soul. This is being represented by Article 21. Access to justice. It's only right which enables our access to the judicial system under Article 32 or under Article 226. Apart from this, you can even write certain issues of from social democracy, जैसे कि right against untouchability. This would be under Article 17. ठीक है? So all these things you can write. Equality of status. Rights ensures equality of status. This is keeping into mind Article 15, but most importantly Article 18. Equality of status. बताया था ना, abolition of titles. तो ये सब डेमोक्रेसी इंश्योर करने के मीन्स है. अगर कोई टाइटल नहीं होल्ड कर रहा है सर वगैरह का, दिस मीन्स दैट पर्सन इज इक्वल देन एनी अदर पर्सन. सो एक बार आप पॉलिटिकल डेमोक्रेसी से आर्टिकल्स लिख लो, देन ट्राई टू फिगर आउट कि ये डेमोक्रेसी पूछी है. डेमोक्रेसी तो इकोनॉमिक भी हो सकती है, सोशल भी. सोशल में कुछ राइट्स का आइडिया है, सोशल में है राइट्स का आइडिया, अनटचेबिलिटी. सोशल में है राइट्स का आइडिया, इक्वालिटी ऑफ स्टेटस, एंड यू विल राइट दोज पॉइंट. सो यू कैन राइट फ्यू मोर पॉइंट्स ऑल्सो. How would you end? See, this question again, ये question आपके अपने conscience के ऊपर है और knowledge के ऊपर है कि how would you end this? They had tried to end up saying कि democratic forces is ever evolving. There are new societal needs, and because of this, the idea of FRs also keep on changing. You can link FR directly with democracy, saying that safeguarding of FR therefore should be the primary function of the government of the day. And it is only and only when FRs are safeguarded, then democracy in a pure sense can be applicable. कोई भी theme से आप end कर सकते हो, ठीक है? So this was very nice question, which actually all these questions जितने भी लिखे हैं ना, ये सब आपकी understanding judge कर रहे हैं. None of the question is judging your expertise in the knowledge of technicalities of polity. वो कोई भी जज नहीं हो रही है. वो टेक्निकलिटीज को आप यूज करोगे इस अंडरस्टैंडिंग आंसर में. जैसे आपने याद कर लिया कि इंदिरा शौने केस में क्या हुआ, क्वेश्चन इंदिरा शौने केस पे नहीं आएगा, क्वेश्चन आएगा रिजर्वेशन पॉलिसी के ऊपर, एंड दैट इंफॉर्मेशन यू वुड बी राइटिंग देयर, ठीक है ना। तो हम वो वाली प्रोसेस नहीं करेंगे, आप ये प्रोसेस करो कि पहले मेंस की अंडरस्टैंडिंग ले लो, कॉन्सेप्ट्स ब्रॉड कर लो, एंड विद इन दैट यू विल इंसर्ट योर नॉलेज रिगार्डिंग प्री, ठीक है। चलो, व्हाट इज द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन? Next question is dealing with basic structure. Basic structure has maintained the balance between rigidity and flexibility. So you see, ये वाला topic कई बार हम deal कर चुके हैं. जैसे ही basic structure आता है, this is the first important theme, that is, it is a blend of rigidity and flexibility. That's it. और रिवर्स भी, अगर क्वेश्चन आ रहा है फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी और रिजिडिटी पे, तो इन एनी केस आप बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर डॉक्ट्रिन लिख ही देना. सो दीज आर द टू इंटर रिलेटेड थीम्स. क्वेश्चन क्या है? एक्सप्लेन हाउ, कैसे बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर डॉक्ट्रिन ट्राइज टू मेंटेन द बैलेंस बिटवीन रिजिडिटी एंड इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. सारे के सारे इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स पहले लिख लो. मुझे क्या लिखना है? बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर डॉक्ट्रिन. Then what I have to write? Rigidity. Then what I have to write? Flexibility. And then what I have to write? A balance between the two. And then what I have to write? How basic structure is able to enable this. Simple. इतना अगर आपने एक मैप बना लिया, अब आपको आइडिया होगा बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर डॉक्ट्रिन, हाउ इट इज एबल टू क्रिएट रिजिडिटी एंड फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी, और यहीं से आप अपने आंसर की स्ट्रक्चरिंग भी करेंगे. व्हाट इज बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर से शुरुआत करेंगे. व्हाट के बाद आपको पहले तो ये बैलेंस बताना है, तो यू वुड राइट द एलिमेंट ऑफ रिजिडिटी, देन यू वुड राइट द एलिमेंट ऑफ फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी, and then you will come up to again basic structure saying how you can create a blend between the two or a balance between the two. ठीक है, सिंपल यही आइडिया हम फॉलो करेंगे और perfect answer will come out. So see how they have said. What do you mean by basic structure? Basic structures are those basic principles or features in our constitution which cannot be altered by the amending power of the parliament. Continue writing. आप खुद से लिख सकते हो. This is a judicial innovation in order to create a strong constraint on the arbitrary powers of legislature. ठीक है, ऐसे करके, and to safeguard fundamental rights. जो आइडिया लग रहा है वो लिख दो बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर में. Next, what they have written. It was the Keshav Nand Bharti case which laid down the foundation of this doctrine. Continue writing saying, this doctrine seeks to maintain a balance between the rigidity and the flexibility element of the Constitution. In order to understand this, let's understand first the provisions which are ensuring rigidity in our Constitution. अब एक entire list दे रखी है. What are the principles? देखो, principles of core principle, protection of core principle. So how basic structure ensures rigidity? कैसे लिखा है? There are certain principles जो इस basic structure की list में हैं, and they are core principle. And basic structure is saying these principle cannot be amended. वो कौन से principle हैं? Federalism, rule of law, unity, integrity, democracy, etc. This is how they are ensuring rigidity. How they are ensuring rigidity? By creating this idea of judicial review. कि अगर कोई law is abridging, violating fundamental right, that particular law shall be declared null and void by the judiciary. इसको कहते हैं judicial review. Next, maintaining institutional stability. By protecting the core principles, limiting arbitrary changes, basic structure doctrine even strengthens the stability and independence of institutions. So these could be few ways you can write where it can ensure rigidity. How it can ensure flexibility? Very simple. Flexibility, ऐसा basic structure नहीं कहता है कि you cannot change. Basic structure says Parliament has the power to change any provision of the Constitution. Just that you can't change the basic structure. तो ये जो last line मैंने बोली है, ये है how they are ensuring rigidity. जो first part मैंने बोला that they can change any part of the Parliament, this ensures flexibility. Flexible nature of amending. You can amend any power, right? And scope of evolving interpretation. Basic structure doctrine gives a scope for new interpretation, right? So once you have written how it basic structure is maintaining, you can definitely end up saying कहीं से बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर की कोई एडवांटेज लिख लो. जैसे मैंने बताया बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर का एडवांटेज क्या है, लेजिस्लेटिव पावर के ऊपर सम काइंड ऑफ कॉन्स्ट्रेन and safeguarding the fundamental rights of the citizen and meeting the new emerging needs of the people. यही है 3 aims. You can end up with these aims and then you can show what is the significance of basic structure doctrine. ठीक है? Point is हर question के साथ जैसे मैं बताती हूँ themes continue कर लेंगे, so half of the thing would be done. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन क्या है, ये भी फंडामेंटल राइट्स को लेके है. सिंपल है, बहुत सिंपल क्वेश्चन बने हैं. सिंपल पूछा है, कंपेयर एंड कॉन्ट्रास्ट द अमेरिकन सिस्टम ऑफ राइट्स एंड इंडियाज अप्रोच टू राइट. सी द अमेरिकन अप्रोच टू फंडामेंटल राइट वाज डिफरेंट फ्रॉम इंडिया, क्योंकि अमेरिका का सोशल सिस्टम वाज डिफरेंट फ्रॉम इंडिया, अमेरिका का पॉलिटिकल सिस्टम वाज डिफरेंट फ्रॉम इंडिया, तो उनकी अप्रोच टू फंडामेंटल राइट इज आल्सो गोइंग टू बी डिफरेंट. और वही क्वेश्चन पूछा है, राइट? सो लेट्स सी हाउ वी कैन राइट. ऑफ कोर्स इस क्वेश्चन को फंडामेंटली हम कैसे करेंगे, वी विल फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल राइट अबाउट फंडामेंटल राइट. सिंपल, व्हाट इज फंडामेंटल राइट से शुरू कर दो. जहां कंपेयर लिखा है, कंपेयर का मतलब होता है सिमिलैरिटी प्लस डिसिमिलैरिटी. कहीं पर भी आपको कंपेयर मिलेगा तो यू विल राइट सिमिलैरिटी ऑल्सो एंड डिसिमिलैरिटी ऑल्सो. सो राइट सिमिलर एंड contrasting points and then we would be concluding accordingly. तो what is fundamental rights? अभी हमने देख ही लिया. Fundamental rights are claims which are fundamental to an individual. These fundamental rights are being enforced by the state and written in the constitution. Then start creating yourself. The idea of fundamental rights is core to Indian as well as American constitution. Though India has borrowed this idea from the Bills of Rights of American constitution. ऐसा करके you can start an introduction. Then you would say there is great amount of similarities as well as dissimilarities between India and US approach to FRs. First is, what are the similarities? So पहली similarity is derived rights. Framers of Indian Constitution has studied and adopted this provision from US Constitution. इंडिया के लिए ये एक derived right का concept है, हमने Bills of Rights से लिया है. So of course there is a similarity because we have derived it. So both the Constitution, they have huge amount of similarity. Second, flexible approach. See, both India and US actually are, India and US, agar India is the largest democracy, US has the honor of being the oldest democracy. और जैसे हम democracy की बात करते हैं, fundamental rights comes up. This is the reason both for India and US FRs are very important. ठीक है? However, both US and India also feels that FR should be flexible in nature. They should be changed. They should be even updated if the needs are coming. So this is also very important. Similar points that both considers constitutional amendment to be a way to make changes in FR. Third, freedom of speech. Both US and India recognizes freedom of speech as a fundamental right. तो ये तो रहे कुछ similar views regarding the fundamental right, but डिफरेंसेस बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग है. और ये जो डिफरेंसेस हैं ये कई बार इन इंटरव्यू ऑल्सो कम्स अप. पहला डिफरेंस तो आप आराम से लिख लोगे, बहुत न्यूज में आता है, द आर्म्स एंड द राइट टू ओन आर्म्स. एंड देन व्हाट ऑल काइंड ऑफ सोशल अनरेस्ट कम्स अप when these people having arms, they go to the society and then they go for this indiscriminated killing. So US में क्या है? As far as US is concerned, right to keep and bear arm is a fundamental right under the Second Amendment of US Constitution. डिसिमिलैरिटी ये है कि इंडिया नॉट ओनली रिस्ट्रिक्ट आर्म्स बट इट ऑल्सो हैव नॉट गिवन इट अ फंडामेंटल राइट स्टेटस. ठीक है, इनफैक्ट इंडिया में तो ये भी कहा है कि यू हैव द राइट टू असेंबल बट विदाउट आर्म्स. ठीक है, तो एक तो डिफरेंस एफआर का ये है. इस चीज को आप अपने इंटरव्यू तक याद रखोगे, ये सारे पॉइंट्स पूछे जाते हैं. सपोज, क्योंकि यूएस में तो ये बहुत कुछ होता है, गॉड फॉरबिड, बट सपोज आपके समय जब आप हो तब समथिंग लाइक दिस हैज कम अप, तो दे विल डेफिनेटली आस्क कि राइट टू बियर आर्म इज इन विच पार्ट ऑफ यूएस कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, तो यू वुड से इट हैज बीन इंक्लूडेड अंडर सेकेंड अमेंडमेंट. नेक्स्ट इज प्रॉपर्टी राइट. देखो, इंडिया में राइट टू प्रॉपर्टी मैंने अभी भी बताया 19(1)(f) था. It was a fundamental right till 1978 44th Amendment. And now it is no more a fundamental right but a legal right. However, US में अभी भी right to property is a fundamental right. So US में दो ऐसे rights हैं जो इंडिया में नहीं हैं. What more? Difference in terminology. See, US ने fundamental right को बोला है bills of right. And India has incorporated it as fundamental rights. तो टर्म्स में डिफरेंस है. नेक्स्ट, पावर ऑफ जुडिशियल रिव्यू. एज आई सेड, अमेरिका का जो कॉन्सेप्ट है वो ड्यू प्रोसेस ऑफ लॉ का है, एंड इंडिया हैज टेकन दिस कॉन्सेप्ट इंस्पायर्ड बाय, देखो लिया तो हमने जापान के कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन से. प्रोसीजर स्टैब्लिश्ड बाय लॉ वी हैव बोरोड फ्रॉम जापान, बट वी वर वेरी मच अवेयर ऑफ दिस सिस्टम फ्रॉम यूके ऑल्सो. ठीक है, सो इंडिया लेता है प्रोसीजर स्टैब्लिश्ड बाय लॉ. एटलीस्ट ऑन बुक तो अभी भी यही लिखा है. हावेवर इन मनेका गांधी केस हमने कहा कि इट शुड बी रेड इन द लाइट ऑफ ड्यू प्रोसेस ऑफ लॉ, बट फिर भी अभी भी वी आर स्टिल स्टक इनटू दिस आइडिया ऑफ प्रोसीजर एस्टैब्लिश्ड बाय लॉ, राइट? So these are few of the differences in the fundamental right between India and US. However, you can still say that it's not a question whether fundamental rights are even wider there or here. It should not be a question whether fundamental rights are more qualified there or here. The question or the thing is all depending upon the needs of the people. The nature is different because the population is different. The demography is different. Political maturity level is different. And this is the reason. Else there is no such reason कि कहीं का fundamental right ज़्यादा अच्छा है कि कहीं का कम है. वही लिखा है ऐसी, each approach has their own advantages and disadvantages. And effectiveness also. In the end, अगर fundamental right का है, तो you can say कि it doesn't matter what kind of FRs are being provided. No doubt आपको FRs आपके ही needs और aspiration के according मिले होंगे. The point is how effectively they are being enforced. So be it US or be it India, effort should be given on implementing these FRs in a more effective way and to empowers the court to enforce these FRs, right? So that both the countries can carry forward their own unique democratic culture. ऐसे करके you can end. कुछ भी different लिखो, right? तो ये different है ना कि आप whatever democratic credentials, आपकी largest है, हमारी biggest है, आपकी oldest है, हमारी largest है. Idea is कि FRs को we need to enforce well, we need to strengthen Supreme Courts, High Courts. Idea is not that we are reducing or we are not taking or we are deleting few FRs. Idea is कि कितना FRs implement हुआ है, concentration उसमें करना है. So like this you would be solving this question. Next question भी बड़ा ही simple है और straightforward है. क्या है? What are different forms of power sharing arrangements in India? Why is power sharing considered beneficial in a democracy? Power sharing. Power sharing किसके बीच में होगी? सेंटर और स्टेट के बीच में. पावर शेयरिंग किसके बीच में होगी? सेंटर और स्टेट के बीच में. क्वेश्चन है डिफरेंट फॉर्म्स ऑफ पावर शेयरिंग इन इंडिया एंड व्हाई दिस पावर शेयरिंग इज इंपॉर्टेंट. तो शुरुआत कैसे करेंगे? व्हाट इज पावर शेयरिंग. सेकेंड, डायरेक्टली हम आ जाएंगे फॉर्म्स ऑफ पावर शेयरिंग एंड देन वी विल ऑल्सो डिस्कस लास्ट पॉइंट, power sharing, how it is beneficial for democracy. And then we would conclude. Simple, straightforward. So what is power sharing? देखो क्या लिखा है. It is a practice of political power being distributed between different groups in the society. यहाँ हम थोड़ा और broad जा रहे हैं, not only center and state, but different groups in the society. Of course, center state आएगा, but largely हम different groups देख रहे हैं. Power of the government is not resided at one place. It needs to be distributed among the groups, but these notions have changed with the emergence of democracy. अब क्वेश्चन क्या था? पहले हमने व्हाट समझा दिया. सेकेंड है व्हाट आर द फॉर्म्स ऑफ पावर शेयरिंग. सो सी व्हाट आर द फॉर्म्स ऑफ पावर शेयरिंग बिटवीन डिफरेंट ऑर्गन. अब जितना भी आपको लगता है कि पावर शेयरिंग के जो एरियाज मैंने पढ़े हैं सब लिखो. देखो पावर शेयरिंग के एरियाज क्या हो सकते हैं? within the state or a government, power can be shared between executive, legislature and judiciary. एक ये पावर शेयरिंग है. एक पावर शेयरिंग जो मैंने आपको बोला सेंटर, स्टेट और लोकल बॉडीज, ये पावर शेयरिंग है. So we will write all the aspects of power sharing. So between different organs of government or state, there is a power sharing between legislature, executive and judiciary. This is called the horizontal distribution. ठीक है? 3 organs of the state के बीच में, this is called the horizontal distribution of power. Next is between different levels of government. This is called vertical power sharing. तो power sharing के क्या forms हैं? एक basic है horizontal between legislature, executive, judiciary. One is vertical between center, state and local bodies. What else? Power can also be shared between different social groups. Social groups में power को share करने के लिए you have the entire reservation of seats, so that those groups who are not at the helm of the affairs are also getting. So if you really want to have power sharing between social group, affirmative action has to be taken. And then between different interest groups. So these are the various ways in which power can be shared. ठीक है? Horizontal, vertical, between different groups, social groups, or between different interest groups or pressure groups. अभी हमने इसमें आंसर में क्या देखा? पहले हमने what देख लिया, then हमने forms देख लिए. Last question is why power sharing is considered to be beneficial. So see, जितने भी टॉप आपको जो भी points लग रहे हैं कि power sharing is linked with democracy, जितने एडवांटेजेस आपको दिखेंगे वही एडवांटेजेस आप पावर शेयरिंग में लिख दोगे. फर्स्ट इज लाइक इट विल प्रिवेंट सोशल कॉन्फ्लिक्ट. इफ पावर इज बीन शेयर्ड अमंग द सोसाइटी, सोशल कॉन्फ्लिक्ट थोड़े रिड्यूस हो जाएंगे. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, द बेल्जियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन प्रिस्क्राइब्स इक्वल नंबर ऑफ डच एंड फ्रेंच स्पीकिंग मिनिस्टर्स इन द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट. तो कॉन्फ्लिक्ट कम हो गया. नेक्स्ट, इट विल एनेबल स्पिरिट ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी. तो मैंने बोला ना, पावर शेयरिंग का मतलब आप पॉलिटिकल स्पेस को खोल दे रहे हो एंड यू आर अलाउइंग अदर एंटिटीज टू एंटर. इससे आपकी डेमोक्रेसी और ज्यादा डीप होगी. बिकॉज व्हाट इज द अनदर वर्ड फॉर डेमोक्रेसी? इंक्लूसिविटी. बताया था मैंने. पार्टिसिपेशन. सो इट विल एनेबल पार्टिसिपेशन, इंक्लूसिवनेस. इसमें यू कैन टॉक अबाउट हाउ वी हैव gone for a further power sharing in terms of PRIs and the urban local bodies with 73rd and 74th constitutional amendment. End your answer with a suitable themes. देखो themes क्या लिखी हैं? Inclusivity, good governance, prevention of concentration of powers, protection of the rights of minorities. These would be the. तो power sharing से ये सारे benefits होंगे. Right? So like this, we would be ending this question. This is the second last question of our analysis today. Question deals with independence and impartiality of Lok Sabha Speaker. देखो, इस आइडिया को करने के लिए एक आइडिया लेते हैं कि या subsequent questions क्या आ सकते हैं. एक क्वेश्चन और आता है कि what is the difference between the Lok Sabha Speaker of India and the Speaker of UK. ठीक है? तो स्पीकर कौन होता है? He is a presiding officer of that house. इंडिया में स्पीकर is a word which is being given to the presiding officer of Lok Sabha. However, there is a difference in the nature of speaker in India and in UK. What is that difference? UK में एक एडेज जाती है. This adage says, once a speaker, always a speaker. इसका क्या मतलब है? Moment a person is appointed as a speaker, he actually resigns from his political party. So somehow he is not now affiliated with that political party. This would ensure neutrality and objectivity in his functioning. 2 points हैं, neutrality and objectivity. और स्पीकर जो कि प्रिसाइडिंग ऑफिसर होता है, he has to be neutral and he has to be objective. Objective मतलब he cannot afford to have a subjectivity. Subjectivity मतलब मेरे preferences नहीं होने चाहिए. आपको किसी मुद्दे को ऑब्जेक्टिव तरीके से देखना है, with all facts and figures, and then you can decide. ठीक है? तो स्पीकर एक्चुअली the trait of a good speaker is neutrality and objectivity, and this could only and only come when the speaker is not having a political obligation. तो यूके में जब एक स्पीकर इलेक्ट होता है तो वो पार्टी से रिजाइन कर देता है. इसका मतलब उसका पॉलिटिकल करियर फ्रॉम अ पार्टी विल एंड. तो ये तो उसके लिए गड़बड़ है, फिर तो नो वन विल कम अप एज अ स्पीकर. इसीलिए once a speaker, always a speaker. He remains a speaker till he wants to remain or till he retires. वो निकलता नहीं है फिर. This is the adage. Once a speaker, always a speaker. ठीक है? इंडिया में क्या पॉइंट है? The speaker, when he becomes a person, if he becomes a speaker, he is not going to resign from his party line. He is not going to resign from his party line. He will remain the member of that political party. And this means जो वो idea of neutrality and objectivity है, वो कहीं पर compromise होता है. Reason is because after this person gets out from the speaker position, he can again join political party, he can again contest election. तो ये difference है between UK and India. और ये difference पे question आते हैं. Anyways, question हमारा है, how does Constitution of India imparts independence and impartiality to speaker? तो जैसे मैंने बोला कि स्पीकर की पोजीशन बड़ी क्रिटिकल है, इम्पार्शियल होना चाहिए उसको, न्यूट्रल होना. न्यूट्रल का मतलब ही इम्पार्शियल होता है. he has to be neutral, he has to be impartial. तो how Indian Constitution has ensured this? Question is this, very straightforward. फिर से कैसे शुरुआत करेंगे? We will discuss about the post of speaker. If you remember some article, you can start with it. Else you can just start saying what is a speaker, and then we have a speaker in Lok Sabha and State Legislative Assembly. Next, straight away question says, what are the provision which ensures its independence and impartiality? So we will write provisions which are ensuring its independence and impartiality. And third, we would be concluding accordingly. ठीक है? तो शुरू करते हैं. Under the Indian Constitution, Lok Sabha and State Legislative Assembly elect 2 of its members to be Speaker and Deputy Speaker, respectively. As a presiding officer, Speaker of Lok Sabha perform some very important function like conduct of business, certifying a bill to be a money bill. ये question pre में आता है. Who certifies a bill to be a money bill? Speaker. And deciding on disqualification under 10th schedule for defection, ये question भी आता है. See, if the members of the parliament, उनके ऊपर disqualification का कोई बात है, as in it is being considered कि disqualification हो रहा है कि नहीं on them. So, who would decide disqualification? Except for the cases of defection, disqualification would be decided and it would be taken up by President in consultation with ECI. But only and only in case of defection, disqualification would be carried forward by Speaker. क्यों? क्योंकि defection एक ऐसी, you can say this is a kind of political process which is very much there within the house. वो house में एक activity है ना? आप एक पार्टी से दूसरी पार्टी डिफेक्ट कर रहे हैं. You are voting adversely. So this is defection. This is a house activity. इसीलिए presiding house जो member होगा of the house, he would have the entire authority. So speaker के पास कुछ specific functions होते हैं. Conduct of the business, certifying a bill to be a money bill, or disqualification in terms of defection. Once we have written what is speaker, अब हम लिखेंगे what are the provisions which are there in order to ensure his independence. So as an office of speaker, there is a great prestige, and therefore following provisions are there to impart independence and impartiality. First provision is security of tenure. ठीक है? So as per Article 94, Speaker of the House can be removed only by a resolution passed of Lok Sabha by special majority and not by an ordinary majority. तो एक बार अगर आप स्पीकर बने हो, there is of course issues concerning security, तो आपके tenure को कोशिश की जाएगी, it's very secure. And if someone wants to remove you, that is house wants to remove you, तो लोकसभा में कि सिर्फ और सिर्फ special majority से you can be removed, not by ordinary majority. This motion of removal can be considered and discussed only when it has been supported by at least 50 members. Pre के लिए अब ये दो information is important. कि Speaker of the Lok Sabha can be removed only by a resolution in Lok Sabha by a special majority, not by an ordinary majority, and 50 members have to support to this resolution. Next, financial independence. कल हम लोगों ने discuss किया था Consolidated Fund of India, wherein I said there are two kind of expenses, charged and uncharged. Charged are those on which voting never happened. मैंने एक बात ये भी बोली थी, all those positions which are supposed to be made neutral, which are supposed to run independently, impartially, उन सभी positions की salaries, allowances would not be charged, as in would not be voted on the house. That is, they would be charged expenditure. So see, the speaker's salary and allowances are also not voted in the parliament, and they are also under the charged consolidated fund expenditure. This question can come up for pre also. Next, independence with regard to conduct. So just now we have also discussed about privileges. So parliamentary privileges is a very important aspect. His work, what are the privileges which speaker gets? His work, his conduct cannot be discussed or criticized in Lok Sabha except a substantive motion is being passed. Next, restriction of judicial intervention. His power of regulating procedure, maintaining order are not subject to jurisdiction of any court. आप speaker को court तक नहीं ले जा सकते हो in his capacity of dealing with the order of the house. Next, impartial in voting. Unlike other members of the house, speaker would not be voting for the first instance. Only and only when there is a possible tie, speaker will act as an impartial authority in order to break that tie. ठीक है? During resolution or due resolution होना चाहिए ये, due resolution of its removal. So as far as the Speaker of Lok Sabha is concerned, he shall not preside over the house during resolution of his removal under consideration. This ensures unbiased adjudication during such crucial proceeding. Suppose house में उनको ही remove करने का resolution है. At that point, of course, speaker won't be allowed to preside the house. वो कैसे अपने ही against resolution करेंगे, ठीक है? So these are few of the important privileges which speaker is getting. Cannot be member of parliamentary committee. Speaker of the house cannot be member, thus preventing him from being part of any of the group. वो presiding officer है. वो किसी भी parliamentary committee का member नहीं होगा. वो appoint कर सकता है, but he can't be the member. So these are few of the privileges or safeguards which are provided to speaker so that he works in an impartial way. Last में क्या लिखा है देखो, इस तरह के topics अगर हों where you are able to create a kind of comparison between two political processes, you can go forward. यहाँ इन्होंने भी ये लिखा In Britain, speaker is strictly a non-party man. इंडिया में तो हमें safeguards लगाने पड़े because इंडिया में it's a party man, it's not a non-party man. Britain में it's a non-party man. There is a convention that speaker must resign from his party and remain politically neutral. ठीक है? This healthy convention is not fully established in India, where speaker does not resign from membership or his election exalted office. In this regard, Mavalankar, who was the first speaker, he observed, उन्होंने क्या बोला? Once a person is elected speaker, he is expected to be above party, above politics. In other words, he belongs to all the members or belongs to none. He holds the scales of justice evenly, irrespective of party or person. But India में इस type का order आ नहीं पाया है because there is a difference between the idea of UK speaker and that of Indian speaker. Now this is the last question of our analysis today. And actually ये जो question है, this we have discussed in the class. करा था ना class में discuss. Analyze the reason behind the extensive length of Indian constitution. चलो बताओ, what is the reasons? पहले आप बोलोगे. Why Indian constitution is so much lengthy? यही question था. चलो, geographical vastness, ठीक है. Next. Okay, comprehensive explanation. Next. Good. Same constitution for both center and state. Okay, very nice. Since Indian constitution is a lawyer's paradise, therefore, you require greater interpretation and explanation. Good. Anything else? Okay, we have borrowed from GOI 1935. It itself is a very bulky document. Okay, it is a living document. Very nice. जहां पर आपने borrowing लिखा है, वहां हम overall लिखेंगे. India is a beautiful patchwork. And we have borrowed the best available things. जहां आप living document लिख रही हो, वहां next point what you can write. Living document में you will say Indian constitution has always tried to incorporate the needs and aspirations of people. Rising needs and aspirations. Because of all these factors, Indian constitution has assumed the status of being one of the lengthiest constitution in the world. So अभी इसको हम शुरू कैसे करेंगे? हम लिखेंगे definitely about. अब देखो ये तो कैसे शुरू हो सकता है? Indian constitution के बारे में you can just write few of the facts. You can start. Like Indian constitution, which was adopted in 1950, which originally contained 395 articles, have today been considered as one of the largest constitution, lengthiest constitution with almost 448 articles and more than 100 amendments so far. कुछ भी करके regarding Indian constitution you can start. इन लोगों ने कैसे किया है? Constitution of India stands as the world's lengthiest written constitution. 1950 में the original constitution had 395 articles across 22 parts and 8 schedules. Pre के लिए important है. Despite the repeal of various provisions of almost 106 amendments, presently it has 448 articles, 25 parts and 12 schedules. Like this we can start. Now next we will say, keeping into mind this comprehensive spans, it is considered to be the lengthiest constitution for the following reasons, or because of the following reasons. See, most of the points which you mentioned are written. There are few more points. जैसे integration of global constitutional experience. ये idea in short is how our constitution is borrowed, or you can say it's a beautiful patchwork. जो वो आप आइडिया बोल रहे हो वही आइडिया they have made with a different language. So Indian constitution has taken the best practices from the known constitutions and then you can write your own example. जितना आपको याद है borrowed में वो लिख लो. जैसे जर्मनी से we have taken emergency, fundamental right from US. You can write so many other legislative procedure from UK, procedure established by law by Japan, so many different things you can write. Further, it includes past international court decisions to clarify laws and minimize the legal disputes. Second is comprehensive administrative framework. So second reason why our constitution is very, very vast is it incorporates detailed administrative procedures from Government of India Act. What you were saying that we have borrowed from GOI, उसी का इन्होंने different ways में लिख दिया है. And since we have borrowed it, this is the reason हर एक topic पर we have a detailing. So for instance, in terms of judiciary, public service, election, everything is being discussed in a very, very detailed way, right? Next is accommodation of regional diversity. So the point which I was saying, we have a vast population and there is societal pluralism. So there is societal pluralism means there are diversity and this regional diversity is being accommodated. So acknowledging India's vastness, constitution has specific sections like part 16 which address to scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. Then you have emergency provision, official languages. In short, yeah, आप इसमें बहुत कुछ लिख सकते हो. You can talk about PRIs. You can talk about 6th and 5th schedule. All these are actually accommodating the regional diversities. And therein we are making our constitution even more inclusive. Next reason, as you just said, that there is a unified constitution for both center and the state. Center और the state के लिए हमारे पास एक ही constitution है. This is the reason that our constitution has become much more bulky. Apart from that, देखो आज ही हम लोगों ने special status के ऊपर बात करी. तो right, if you have a knowledge, write it into the answer. So you can say that, however, since we have a unified governance for both union and state, but still we do carry special provisions for different states for different purposes. In this regard, we have Article 370, which is now being repealed in respect to J&K, and the entire articles under Article 371 for almost 11 states. यही पढ़ा है हमने, which includes many of the northeast states. तो इतना ज़्यादा बड़ा हो गया हमारा constitution. Next is detailed federal state relations. The entire अभी federal state relation का हमने अभी पढ़ा. Idea क्या है federal state relation का? Vertical division of power. Try to use these vocabulary in your answer writing. When you know that federal representation or federal division includes some kind of vertical distribution of power, not horizontal. Horizontal तो है executive, legislature और judiciary में. Vertical is between center, state and local. So write this, that because we have a very well stimulated vertical distribution of power, this needs to be understood and written in our constitution, and it is written in our constitution in different parts. Also, you would say that next इसी में continue रखो. Federal state relation एक तो different parts में लिखे, जैसे 7th schedule में clearly लिखा है what would be the list system. Then you can add on another point that disputes, यहाँ पर detailed federal state relation है. इसी के बाद एक next point लिख सकते हो. Indian constitution contains provisions for redressal of center state disputes. And herein you can write about these points. Article 262, which talks about water dispute. Then the interstate council, integration council, all these points you can write, right? Next is justiciable and non-justiciable provision. Indian constitution has both justiciable and non-justiciable provisions. Apart from this, और भी हम लोगों ने कौन से points करे थे? हाँ, it is a living document. इसके अलावा हम कौन से पॉइंट लिख सकते हैं? Indian Constitution is a living document. It is a perfect blend of rigidity and flexibility, right? Next, Indian Constitution is always ready to assimilate new demands and aspirations. Then here only right in US, still there has not been so many amendments, and in India we have almost 106 constitutional amendment. Here only right details, जो आपने बोला था, right? जो हमने क्लास में भी कराया कि it's a lawyer paradise. So detailed explanation is very much required. Detailed explanation was so much required that we created an entire thing called schedule. मैंने बताया था ना क्लास में, schedule क्यों बने? Because you require a separate part where additional information is being required. So an entire additional part called schedule was created. So these could be few. Then we have an entire idea. It's not only about rights. We also have an idea about duties. It's not only about rights. We have also an idea about DPSPs. So all these are adding to the length of our constitution. Once you have written, अभी ये बताओ, ये लेंथ ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में मैंने क्लास में भी कुछ डिटेलिंग की थी. वुड यू लाइक टू एंड इट विथ सम काइंड ऑफ चैलेंज और क्रिटिसिज्म? कोई चैलेंज है? हमारा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इतना लेंदी है तो इट इज, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल इट इज वेरी बल्की. ठीक है, इट इज वेरी बल्की एंड दिस इज द रीजन इट टेक्स टाइम टू अंडरस्टैंड. So one of the challenge जो मैंने क्लास में भी लिखवाया था इसीलिए कि our constitution is very much lengthy and this is the reason it has become much more bulky and difficult to understand and comprehend in a single go. These has been few of the critiques for this lengthy constitution. However, you would say that the length of a constitution is a testimony to the fact that our constitution represents diversities. And till the time we have diversity, constitution will keep on evolving. Also, a lengthy constitution is a good signal of a living document, and living document is a good signal for acceptance of rising aspirations. So, until and unless we are taking forward the aspirations of the people, our constitution will keep expanding and keep on becoming even more lengthier. इन्होंने भी ये लिखा है, it is very comprehensive, that has enabled India to navigate the turbulent water of its post-independence journey and emerged as a vibrant democracy on the world stage. Last में किसी भी आइडिया के साथ लिख सकते हो. यहाँ वाइब्रेंट डेमोक्रेसी भी लिख सकते हो, यहाँ एबल गवर्नेंस सिस्टम भी लिख सकते हैं, यहाँ प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ एफआरस भी लिख सकते हो. एनी आइडिया यू कैन राइट, राइट? सो विद दिस वी हैव कंप्लीटेड all the entire questions in this test series discussions. These are the only questions, right? So with this we have completed all the 20 questions. Next time, of course,